As long as I could remember, New Year's has always been one of my absolute favorite holidays. That period of reflection and out with the old, doing away with the old, making way for the new. It's a time of new beginnings and looking forward to making the year in front of you the best possible year yet. And in the spirit of the new year, I figured there is no better time to talk about brazen impudence and going all in on becoming the very best version of you in 2025 and beyond. Because far too often, what ends up happening, we get stuck in these patterns and cycles. It is inherently wired in our human nature. As humans, we are far too inclined to resist any kind of change on the subconscious level. In fact, this becomes one of our biggest, if not biggest, obstacle that we face when we go to apply these teachings and when we start on our journey with the law of assumption. We are creatures of habit, and on a deeper subconscious level, we are resistant to the idea of change. And we can look no further than New Year's resolutions to prove this point. On New Year's Day, there is a significant number of people that will make New Year's resolutions, and unfortunately, the vast majority will fail at them within the first 2 months. Studies show anywhere between 70 and 95% will drop their resolutions by March. And the same thing goes for manifestation. The same thing tends to happen on this journey when we attempt to change our self-concept. Oftentimes, we will find ourselves moving into that state of the wish fulfilled. We will feel that desired outcome. We will feel really good for a time being, maybe a few hours, a few days, even a few weeks, but then inevitably find that we fall back into old thinking patterns, habits, reactions, essentially falling back into our old way of being. And this is, without question, one of the most difficult things that people deal with when they are new to these teachings. We often underestimate how often we're going to fall out of that desired state and back into our old way of thinking. And when that inevitably happens, we get, understandably, very frustrated and confused, oftentimes thinking we're doing something wrong, and then go scour the internet as to why it is so damn hard to maintain that new state, to actually make that change to our self-concept. It feels like there's a part of us that fights us every step of the way, when in fact, this is completely normal. In fact, the vast majority of people are going to find that maintaining that new state indefinitely is something that takes practice, and more often than not, we're going to find ourselves falling back into our old way of thinking and our old way of being over and over and over again. And this is where brazen impudence comes in. Now, what the hell does that term even mean? Brazen impudence. Brazen impudence is a term that Neville used in one of his famous lectures where he talked about the importance of persistence. What this means is that you are boldly accepting what you desire without question. It means to be fearless in your action and going to the end and not overthinking things. It means adjusting your thinking so that you are not taking no as an answer. This is where the importance of persistence comes in, and why we want to continue to return to that state of the wish fulfilled, no matter how many times we find ourselves falling out of it. And to reiterate, yet again, because I want to be 10,000% clear here, at first, you're going to fall out of that state a lot. You're going to find yourself falling into old habits and patterns and reactions a lot. It is inherently human to do so. And Neville did a fantastic job in the lecture, titled Brazen Impudence, of making this point. And I'm going to go ahead and link to the lecture down in the description box below, and I highly recommend giving that a read if you have not done so. And in it, he shared a very personal story of his on how he manifested the woman who would later become his wife, despite what seemed like impossible odds. It is an incredible story that is too good not to share, so I want to share it with all of you today. When I decided to marry the lady who now bears my name, I applied this principle. At the time, I was terribly involved. I had married at the age of 18 and became a father at 19. We separated that year, but I never sought a divorce. Therefore, my separation was not legal in the state of New York. 16 years later, when I fell in love and wanted to marry my present wife, I decided to sleep as though we were married. While sleeping, physically in my hotel room, I slept imaginatively in an apartment, she in one bed and I in the other. My dancing partner did not want me to marry, so she told my wife that I would be seeking a divorce and to make herself scarce, which she did, taking up residence in another state. But I persisted. Night after night, I slept in the assumption that I was happily married to the girl I love. Within a week, I received a call requesting me to be in court the next Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Giving me no reason why I should be there, I dismissed the request, thinking it was a hoax played on me by a friend. So the next Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m., I was unshaved and only casually dressed when the phone rang, and a lady said, "It would be to your advantage, as a public figure, to be in court this morning, as your wife is on trial." What a shock! I quickly thanked the lady, caught a taxi, and arrived just as court began. My wife had been caught lifting a few items from a store in New York City, which she had not paid for. Asking to speak on her behalf, I said, "She is my wife and the mother of my son. Although we have been separated for 16 years, as far as I know, she has never done this before, and I do not think she will ever do it again. We have a marvelous son. Please do nothing to her to reflect in any way upon our son, who lives with me. If I may say something, she is 8 years my senior, and may be passing through a certain emotional state, which prompted her to do what she did. If you must sentence her, then please suspend it." The judge then said to me, "In all of my years on the bench, I have never heard an appeal like this. Your wife tells me you want a divorce, and here you could have had tangible evidence for it, yet you plead for her release." He then sentenced her to 6 months and suspended the sentence. My wife waited for me at the back of the room and said, "Neville, that was a decent thing to do. Give me the subpoena and I will sign it." We took a taxi together, and I did that which was not legal. I served my own subpoena, and she signed it. Now, who was the cause of her misfortune? She lived in another state, but came to New York City to do an act for which she was to be caught and tried. So I say, every being in the world will serve your purpose. So in the end, you will say, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." They will move under compulsion to do your will, just as my wife did. I tell this story only to illustrate a principle. You do not need to ask anyone to aid you in the answer to a prayer, for the simple reason that God is omnipotent and omniscient. He is in you as your own wonderful I amness. All you need to do is know what you want. Construct a scene which would imply the fulfillment of your desire. Enter the scene and remain there. If your imaginal counselor, or your feeling of fulfillment, agrees with that which is used to illustrate your fulfilled desire, your fantasy will become a fact. It's hard to find another example that really drives this point home. In Neville's case, his circumstances looked impossible. To the logic and rational mind, there would be no way that he would be able to receive his person, that he would be able to marry his person. On the outside, everything looked completely impossible. His first wife, who he would need to be able to divorce first, had fled the state, and her whereabouts were unknown. Any rational person would have just given up and moved on with their life. But he persisted. Despite the evidence of the 3D, despite how impossible it seemed, night after night, he went to sleep as a married man in imagination. And a bridge unfolded in a way that no person would have been able to consciously conceive. And that is the entire point of Brazen Impudence. It is not accepting no as the final answer. It is being stubbornly insistent on what you desire to experience and going there night after night despite the 3D circumstance. Despite impossible odds, Neville persisted. He did not take no for an answer. And due to that fact, he witnessed a miraculous bridge unfold that led him straight to his desired outcome. So today, on this first day of the brand new year, I want to encourage each and every one of you to be bold. Be bold as Neville here, and do not accept the facts of life as they may look right now. Do not accept the logic and reason that says that you cannot experience what you desire. Do not fall trap to that old fear and old doubt that says this could never happen. Progress is not always linear. In fact, it rarely is. You will miss the mark sometimes. You will fall out of that desired state. You will find yourself back in old patterns and feeling discouraged, and that is normal, and that is okay. When that happens, commit to yourself to take aim again, and do not take no for an answer. Commit to yourself that this year is going to be the very best year possible. It is going to exceed your wildest expectations, and do not settle for anything less. Do not limit yourself to what feels logical or reasonable for you. Go big here. Don't even give yourself the option of going home. It's time to be big. It's time to be bold. Let the dead bury their dead and be gone and done with that old version of you for once and for all. And on that note, before we part ways, I want to leave you guys with a challenge that I hope you accept. This video is being released on New Year's Day of 2025. And I want to challenge you to fall asleep tonight as though it is New Year's Eve of 2025, leading in to 2026. And tonight, as you are reflecting over 2025, you are going to feel immense gratitude for every single thing that you have manifested, every desire that you have seen come to pass, and how incredibly thankful you are that you are living a life that a year ago you would have never thought possible. See yourself on the eve of 2026, looking back over this year, having achieved every single goal and every desire that you wanted. Commit to that imaginal act. See yourself as giving thanks for the best year that you have ever had. Because this year we are accepting nothing less. We are done with the same old, same old. We are not returning to that old dwelling place where we were fearful, where we were doubtful, where we were playing small, battling uncertainties. That old version of you is dead and buried. And here you are not just living or surviving, but absolutely thriving. All things are possible to him who believes. You are no exception to this incredible law that governs everything that we possibly encounter and witness and touch. Utilize the creative power that is your own wonderful human imagination. Paint your world in the most incredible and spectacular ways. No more settling. This year, we are thriving. This year, we are accepting nothing less than what we absolutely desire and absolutely deserve. Because if you do this, if you fall asleep tonight as the version of you that had the very best year in 2025, by law, it must come to pass. And you will see your world and everything in it transform in the most spectacular of ways. Here's to 2025, going above and beyond anything we could possibly imagine. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope this was inspiring. I hope this gave you a boost. As a reminder to go bold. If you did enjoy it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in checking out any of my other resources, I will have links down below to my coaching programs, my workshops and masterclasses, my blog, my podcast, my social links. Got a ton of resources down in that description box, so don't forget to check it out. Also, be sure to check out the other videos on this channel. Be sure to check out my Manifestation Fundamentals playlist. Each video is a different topic, but it all pertains how to manifest the best life possible. So until we meet next time, as always, please take care, be well, and never forget Brazen Impudence, and never taking no for an answer, and never taking no as a final answer. Happy New Year and happy manifesting, guys.